I really like this thing. It's very soft, but I would actually prefer it to look like a human or Satan, like a version of this that's like human figured or Satan figured, so it could be red or something, and I don't care. But yes, and then yeah, it can have like a microphone, a phone in it, and I can talk to people. But yes, that's really silly. This morning I was just watching some videos where that guy that was interviewing Andrew Tate, Rob something, he was interviewing someone else, and that person was just supporting Andrew Tate and saying that the establishment likes to pick on people, rise them up, give them fame, and then crash them apart. And you know, I've noticed that they have done similar things. They did it to Russell Brand and Diddy and R. Kelly, but I don't know, with those people I feel like I kind of like them. So if they were to be destroyed in the media, I feel like there's something about them that I really like. So this Andrew Tate guy is interesting because he's someone I really don't like, and even if it is all set up, like, I don't care, because his anger is so incredible that it's like, how could anyone support him? And, you know, you could say, oh, he might be innocent of these crimes. You know, I think one person typed on my thing that you know, you would let an innocent man go to jail. I'm just like, how can you look at his videos and think that this is an innocent guy? This is a guy who thinks women are scum, basically. That is not innocent. This attitude that he has, this arrogance that he has, you know, it's quite terrifying almost. But I feel like though it's kind of a good idea to find people that I would hate and then deliberately give them fame or a platform to promote their agendas, not for the purpose of you know, helping them, but for the purpose of knowing that they're going to be destroyed at the end. And so it'd be kind of cool if I really want, before I get any fame, before I get any support, you know, that James guy that thought it was fine to pester me on multiple different numbers and pretend to be someone that's just come across my YouTube videos, and, you know, there's a few people that would pretend that they've seen my advert on massage, they found my YouTube videos, they know that I think I'm God, and then they'll just talk as if they want to support me and help me, but really they'll just be adding lots and lots of insults and had absolutely zero ability. I know there was another number who I've actually called guy who knows that I'm God but has no ability to believe. There was another caller that did that. I kind of all thought it was different people, but because I realised how psychotic this James guy was, I'm actually thinking it's the same person, because that person who called me on the phone to offer me that Australian Big Brother thing, you know, he had zero ability to believe, and yet he seemed to think that we were like friends. And I was like, how I don't understand that. You know, even this James guy, I haven't really spoken to him for a year or two. And I did speak to him once last year, and nothing happened. And then before that, again, I hadn't seen him. I think he lives a long way away. That's the thing. He doesn't always come to Birmingham, and when he does come, he often didn't even show up. So my memory of him is very, very vague. But whoever called me up seemed to think that he like, it was like I could scream and yell at him and I would just feel nothing from him. No fear, no nothing. And so I was feeling that maybe he's been contacting me in many different numbers, hence why my view of him is very little, because I'm thinking that it's all different people, whereas his view on me is that he feels he knows me very well. Why? Because it's all the same people having the same conversations and going down the same path, which is to pretend to be wanting to find out about my religion, when really he's just using me as a free phone caller. You know, if you call up a cool girl, you would pay £1 a minute, whereas if you call up a masseuse to just talk about something, you get a couple of minutes free, and she won't charge you for that phone call. So I think some people like to do that, and I think that he's a bit of a psycho who would see it that way. But it's kind of making me think, look at this Andrew Tate guy, who's far worse than that James guy. But yeah, it's making me think that there must be loads of people that are, you know, you could tell that they're just nasty, vile people by what they say, and yet there's some people that would support them because they would look at the allegations made on other people and just pan them all as the same person when you can't, when that's not how it is, you know. When you see other people being attacked by the media, you actually feel like some sort of, you feel something from them. Whereas with this guy, with Andrew Tate, when he's being attacked at the media, the only thing I feel is his need to want to attack back and want to be the bigger bully and want to be the more powerful one. He's constantly bigging himself up. So he's like the epitome of what I would want to get rid of when it comes. If I was to make the world a better place, you do it by getting rid of the people that are terrible, and he is a perfect example of what I would want to get rid of. And therefore, having a bunch of interviews, not just with religious people, but having, I think the religious aspect is good, because the religious people are people that claim to know and love God. So they say, I'm following, God can fix things, God will fix everything, and I'm only a loyal servant of God. People who claim to be that and yet would come and would have an interview with me, say that I'm not God for whatever reason. You know, I'm you don't know what I did yesterday, you don't know my girlfriend's name, you don't know how many kids, or if I have kids, so therefore you can't be God. You know, people who could use things like that and think that that's proof that I'm not God are stupid, but they're the sort of people that would be willing to attack me and have no belief that they're doing anything wrong. And I think part of their belief is that they would think that I'm not famous. You know, this James guy would think that he would have, if I would have set up some sort of interview with him, I would have easily gotten an interview with him, and he would have easily happily had an interview with me where he says that I'm not God and or whatever, and he would have done that because he would have believed that I'm not going to be helped. I can't remember who, someone sent me a text, I think it was him, but I can't remember which channel. He's got a few Facebook pages, WhatsApp pages, and then there's text messages as well. So there's 3 different places that he's contacted me, and I can't remember what it was. Well, somewhere I saw a message from him saying that I'm nobody, that I'm just going to live and die, and I'm not going to get any fame, I'm not going to get any nothing. And because he believes that I'm just going to live my whole life getting absolutely no fame, no attention, probably spending the whole life lying on my bed waiting for something to happen when it's not going to happen, because he believes that, he therefore feels that he can attack me as much as he wants, and it's not going to come back at him. So, you know, before I get any fame, I would love to use this belief that they would have, that I'm just a nobody, that I'm not going to get any fame, I'm not going to get any backing, and I would love to have lots of meetings with religious people. I guess is a good goal, because they're people that are claiming to know me when they don't, but just nasty people as well, nasty, angry people who think that they're righteous, who think that, you know, but I think, I don't know if how I would even get a video with Andrew Tate. You know, Andrew Tate thinks about himself, and therefore he's only going to want to have interviews with people if he thinks he's going to get exposure and publicity and stuff from that. So Andrew Tate might be one of the ones that I definitely would not be able to get an interview with him if it was just me contacting him. In fact, I can't get an interview of anyone with just me contacting him. You know, Christians have interviews with people and go online to chat because they want to promote their religion. They have an agenda and they want to promote that religion, and therefore having an interview with me isn't going to promote that agenda. Yeah, that's why I'm struggling to get interviews. But if I have a team of people that can help me get interviews, then that's good. But yeah, you might find that Andrew doesn't actually want to have an interview with me because he won't see how it benefits him. So he might be one of the ones that I have to sort of pay to have an interview with. But I don't know. There's 2 interview ideas. One which is just putting out an ad and saying that I'm Christ, and asking who wants to meet Christ. That will definitely draw in all the Christians that want to try and prove me wrong. They might though want a copy of it as well. Yeah, that would be the part that, because I want to stay hidden for as long as possible, or I want to make them think that I want to be hidden. You know, if they think that I'm going to be, that these videos are not actually going to go anywhere, you know, they might be more tempted to just say, be free with their speech on it. But the tour bus idea, where I get a crappy minibus and actually chase up these people that you want to attack, And for a war to happen, you need to have two sides of the war, and I think Andrew Tate is a really good example of the other side of the war, because he draws in people that can't tell the difference. If you think that he's the same as R. Kelly, then I just think that you can't see the high level of feelings that R. Kelly has versus the extreme level of narcissism that Andrew Tate has. They're two different things. Yes. I'll just... This interview apparently is 5 hours long. Anyway, it's apparently 5 hours long.
I would believe I'm a stronger version of myself post-jail. And if you put me back, I'll emerge stronger than ever before.
In this episode, you see the most unleashed and exposed Andrew Tate.
Send me to jail right now. I'll go. Life is war, every single aspect of...
I think you should listen to him. Send him to jail. He wants to be there.
Life is war.
For more than a year, Andrew Tate has told me personally he wants to share what's really gone on, but he's been silenced because of his imprisonment and because of his lawyers.
This whole Matrix attack, the point of it was to digitally assassinate me and destroy my influence. They're coming for all of us. They're not just coming for me. There's all of us. They're coming for any single person who has a degree of sovereignty about their mindset.
They're coming for anyone that has a decent amount of sovereignty about their mindset. I mean, this is just him bigging himself up in every single way. I'm the one that has sovereignty. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm the perfect one. They're not. And
this is the first podcast Andrew Tate has done in a long time, and he gave me this exclusive. This content is so wild we had to break it down into two parts. 5 hours of me interrogating Andrew Tate.
There are people in a room right now, as we speak, trying to put me in jail.
Before I tell you the wildest...
People like him like to make everything about themselves. There's people in a room that are just talking about me, thinking about me. I think he's gay, to be honest. I really think that this guy actually should be gay. He'd be better off being gay because he seems to love himself, and since he's a male, I feel like that's just a sign that he is actually gay.
Discussions we had. I'm giving away £30,000 worth of exclusive prizes just for listening to both parts of this Andrew Tate launch. All you have to do is find the secret question hidden in these two episodes.
See, that's a good point. There could be some, if you want to get people like this on some sort of interview, people like this are only going to do interviews if they think it's going to benefit them. So you could get some sort of third party to do an interview and say, yes, we're going to do an interview with you. You'll give you lots and lots of exposure, and then just kind of add me in as like a small part of it. And okay, you don't have to actually add that bit into the YouTube video that you post, but yeah, just I don't know. There's some people that I feel like I'll struggle to get some sort of interview with. I don't even know if I really want to get an interview with Andrew though. But yeah, I would love to just confront him about the possibility that God is a woman, and the reason why you have so much hatred is because you hate God and love yourself.
Andrew, do you think you'll still be assassinated?
That's a very good question. So I have to decide how I'm going to answer this, because every time I'm asked a question as a consummate professional, I think of about 5 different answers. Firstly, the first answer I'll give is that they've already attempted to assassinate me, digitally at least, and my character. That's clear. This whole Matrix attack, the point of it was to digitally assassinate me and destroy my influence. If they accused me of tax evasion or money laundering, nobody would care. So they accuse you of a sex crime. It's not just me. Russell Brand they got, Tucker Carlson they're after. It's a standardized playbook by the Matrix because they want to prove to the world you're a very bad person, and there's always...
I don't think they need to prove that you're a very bad person. I think you yourself prove that you're a very bad person by your attitude and just the way you present yourself, and the way you big yourself up constantly whilst telling yourself that you're amazing, whilst making you the centre of attention in all your conversations. It should be obvious that you're a bad person. So I don't know why people would listen to you and think that you're an innocent person just like all the others or whatever. And
always people out there who are so stupid that they're going to sit and go, the 85th time this has happened, he's a bad person, and they're going to believe it. what's very interesting about it is
All the stupid people out there. Ah, the 85th time this has happened. He is a bad person. If someone's being accused of something by 85 different times, that probably means that there is some truth about it. And he's just calling people that are seeing evidence and seeing the backups and, you know, seeing lots of people turn against them. He's calling them fools and stupid, putting them down, saying that he's the better one because why? Because he says so.
is not only do they believe it, they also conveniently forget about all the actual sex criminals which work inside of the mainstream media and work for the establishment, because they're only mentioned for a day and then they're put away. Whereas people like me, they'll mention that I am a human trafficker every single day for a year and a half. They have not.
To be honest, I've never heard of you. I've never heard of you once. You're just some randomer that's just come out of nowhere. And I talked. There was someone talking about you a few weeks ago, and I noticed in that clip that he used, you sounded very, very angry, and I found you a little interesting because I was like, why are you so angry? And you know, he's clearly someone who's on the opposite side. You know, but yeah, it's just for you to think that they just get heard of and then put away and that's it. But you know, you're in the media every single day. People know about you people are talking about you every single day. I'm just like, I've never heard of you. If you would have just had what they had and just been in the media for a couple of days and then put away, I wouldn't have heard of you. And how would I know that you'd be any different to them? I mean, I think the fact that you haven't been put away, I don't know what to say, because I don't know anything about you. I just think you're telling shit.
They have not stopped. When Hugh Edwards sends a picture of his ass somewhere, that's gone in 24 hours. Or Schofield, the first question they ask him, how do you feel? Are you okay? Bro, if you work for the establishment, they protect you. And if you work against them, they attempt to digitally assassinate you. So they've already attempted to assassinate me and my character. That's the first.
Well, you're trying to assassinate and do that to them by saying that all the people in the BBC are paedophiles, when I don't believe that's the truth. If you want to accuse someone of doing things, you have to actually start mentioning names and actually accuse them, not just say that they're all the people in the BBC, they're all paedophiles. Well, there's a lot of people that work there, and I don't think that's the truth. I think you're just trying to make yourself seem like you're just one of many, and that's all you're doing.
First thing. The second way I'll answer that question is, there was a time I was public enemy number 1, and I now feel like I'm public enemy number 7.
Well, I had no idea who you were, so you definitely weren't public. How can you be public enemy number 1 when I had never heard of you until a couple of weeks ago? I mean, technically, I don't know who public enemy number 1 really is. Simon Cowell is probably someone I would have put up as high up, and I guess Diddy and stuff. These are real people who are famous. You're just bigging up your fame because you want more fame. That's what I think.
And I think that's because of the election coming up. I'm actually not that overtly political. I think it's pretty clear what my politics are and my overall stance on how the world should be viewed, and masculinity as a whole is something they fear. But I'm not directly political. And I feel like because it's an election cycle, an election year, there's certain other people they might want to put a bullet in first. And you know the age-old adage, you don't have to be the fastest person running from the bear, you just have to be faster than the slowest one. So I feel like perhaps they won't assassinate me this year. Are they trying to put me in jail? For sure. Which I guess is another form of assassination. I mean, what's the point being alive if you're in a cell, cockroaches? And that's done through liberally funded NGOs and the media machine. So for me to answer the question, as a whole, they've already attempted to assassinate me, my character. They're still attempting to assassinate me, put me in jail. Will they put a bullet in me? Maybe next year. But for this year, I should be able to drive my Ferrari, so I bought a couple.
I think there's quite a lot of people that like to just hurt the establishment because they feel that the establishment is having too much power. So they try and clump them as being one big person rather than lots of different entities that perhaps are all sensing the same thing about a certain person. But yeah, I think people who would listen to this would probably there'd be people who would choose a side, you know, him or the establishment, and it's a bit stupid with that. But yeah, I just not too sure what else to say.
New ones, and we'll be okay.
Yeah, because when I first met you and we did the first episode, you talked through the 3 stages.
Yep.
Counselling.
Yep.
In the media.
Yep.
Imprisonment.
Yep.
And that was about 3 weeks before you went to prison.
That's right. I'm on my last life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that not, you're smiling. Does that not scare the shit out of you?
It does, because it's, you know, you're on a video game and you're on your last life and you really have to pull it off. And I guess it is scary, but then you have to sit and realize that if you're... Am I afraid? The reason I'm not afraid is because I don't see any other choice. I don't see the point in being afraid because I don't see any other option.
I think he's the sort of person who would go to jail for crimes that he's done. He's known that he's done them, and therefore he wouldn't feel bad about going to jail, because he would just feel like, well, these are the crimes that I've done. They are right. They know that I was lying, and they've obviously seen through it, but this is where I'm meant to be because I have no other option, because this is what I've done and this is what they think I deserve because I've done it. But I'm going to, of course, maintain my innocence throughout the whole thing. Why? Because I want to pretend that I'm the victim, and because people like him, I think, like to portray hatred on others, and I'm analysing him. I think they like to portray hatred on others. They like to have a gang of people, you know, and to turn against the establishment. And therefore, he thinks that if the establishment put him in jail, he will be able to use that as a way of trying to get lots of followers to, feel sorry for him, to sympathise with him, to gang up on the establishment. You know, these people love the idea of looking up to some sort of hero that makes them feel better, and by having a hero that's in jail because of the establishment, you know, anything that they don't like about their life, they want to blame it on the establishment. And then when they see people like this getting persecuted by the establishment, you know, they can feel like he's a hero, he's an idol, he's going through this, I'm not in jail, and it makes them feel better about themselves. I think he loves these kind of people, these followers, these people that he brainwashes, whilst making out that he's not brainwashing, because he's a very manipulative cow. He's a horrible person. He's a very he loves the attention, he loves the drama, he loves being able to attack the people with the most amount of power. Why? Because he feels like he has more power when he attacks people with power. And he's kind of like my goal enemy person, and therefore I'm finding it interesting just listening and talking about him.
If you refuse to fight in a war, you don't eliminate wars, you only eliminate yourself. If you have an opponent who is set on attempting to destroy you, and you say, well, I don't want to fight, that doesn't make the war go away. That just makes you go away. And they're coming for all of us. They're not just coming for me. I'm just in.
I think he's the sort of person, when he says that, what he means is that if a war is going on and you don't participate, you just become a nothing. You become a nobody. But if a war is going on and you become an advocate and become a speaker and become a leader, then you yourself become like a leader and a tyrant and someone who looks up to you. So he thinks that there is a war between the people and the establishment, and he thinks that if he just shuts up, then he'll just be a nobody. And therefore he's getting thrill and he's getting something. He's getting drive from believing that there is a war between the establishment and the people, and he's standing up for the people by attacking the establishment who are attacking him. But really, he's adding tons and tons of false ideologies, trying to go back to the past. And you know, I'm sure he would have been someone who would have approved of slavery, and he would have been someone who always chooses inversion. I think he's had it because he's got such a strong character. I think he's had a few lives before, but I just feel like he's the sort of person that would always choose the wrong side, because he's choosing the wrong side now in everything he does. And he doesn't mind going to jail, because he would see this as just a way of trying to attack the establishment even more. You know, I'm an innocent man, I was sent to jail, this was this. And even if he's not, the idea that he is lying to try and attack the establishment by claiming that, you know, he's an innocent person, I feel like he loves that, and so a part of him actually wants to go to jail so that he can try and pretend to be an innocent person who's being attacked by the establishment, and he would do this to try and raise up an army against the establishment. Why? Because he wants more power. He's not happy because he doesn't feel like he has enough power. He feels like the establishment has more power than him, and he doesn't like this feeling that there's other things that have more power. And yeah, it's just power, control, arrogance, ego, just everything about him I really don't like.
And who's all of us? They're coming for any single person who has a degree of sovereignty about their mindset. They're coming for anyone who refuses to believe the slave programming, for anyone who wants to have a happy family and a good life, for anyone with any degree of masculine imperative, for anyone who has a degree of individualism. They're coming for all of us.
So he's saying that because he's trying to build up an army of people who want to believe this, and who want to believe that, they're trying to destroy family values, they're trying to destroy masculinity, they're trying to destroy the sexes, and he's just building up a bunch of people that want to just hate the things in power. But what they don't understand is, if you hate the things in power, it means you don't recognize the reason why they have been gotten into power, what they have done to achieve it. Like, I know not everyone in power is right and good, and I know there is a lot of corruption, and people in power used to be very sexist and very racist, and very, the people at the top used to be very bad. But I feel like some people still have this mindset, but the part of creating a government is about creating a government that works for the people, and by just encouraging the people to believe that the government is all corrupt and wrong, you're actually getting people to just follow you and worship you. So he's trying to almost, in a way, create his own government, his own establishment. But if his principles aren't right, then it's not going to work. And I feel like the way to attack people like this, I guess, is to take their followers away from them, and to threaten their followers. Their followers like them because they have lots and lots of power, and they see them as being strong. But if I have an interview with people like this and actually explain, okay, so what are your principles? Well, reincarnation, I'm God, I made reincarnation is the truth. Masculinity is a characteristic that can lie in both males and females, because it's a characteristic that lies in the mind and not in your body. Physically, males are stronger, so if males want to chill out, spend more time in the gym than women, it's quite attractive for women to see guys with muscles and stuff. So that there's a physical reason or a spiritual reason why souls that are in male bodies would be more drawn to building up muscles and stuff. But there is that, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that women shouldn't be masculine. That doesn't mean that women I don't really agree with sex change. I think you should just be happy with the sex that you're given. But if a woman wants to act and be like a man, I just don't see there's any problem with that. And therefore, yeah, what his principles are pushing are not the truth. And I guess because no one's giving me any publicity or any exposure, no one's going to take anything I say seriously. But as soon as I get a huge amount of publicity and people exposing me as Christ, if they ever do this, I'm not even confused at this. I'm not even convinced that it's going to happen at this point, because I feel like humans have been ignoring me for such a long time. But yeah, as soon as that shift happens, people will take any interview that I've had with people far more seriously. But yeah, I think the way to destroy the people like this would be to have an initial interview where I get them to talk about their principles, get them to talk about what it is that they believe in. If you ran the government, how would you change things? And if they start saying, oh, we're going to force, make abortion illegal. Well, what about, and then I start talking, well, what about kids that are like, do you want 15-year-olds to have kids if they were raped by an uncle or something? Should they not be allowed? And then what happens if you have 6 kids and you've accidentally gotten pregnant again? Or say you're in a strong relationship with two kids, and then you cheat on someone, and then you get pregnant, and now you're going to have a 3rd child with someone that's not the father. And there's loads of different ways or reasons why someone would want an abortion. Can't afford it, they don't want any more kids. Maybe it is with someone they've just cheated on, and they don't want to add a half sister into the mix of a happy family that already exists. And there are loads of reasons why an abortion should be, and because I'm God, I think that the soul doesn't enter into a fetus until the time the water breaks. So therefore it's not murder. And then if he's going to constantly just push all these agendas, if people don't believe that I'm God, then they're not going to take anything that I say seriously. But if people are promoting and believing that I'm Christ, and then in say 3 years' time it changes and they start promoting me as being God, people will take what I'm saying seriously, and then they'll look back at all these people that they were supporting and on the side of, and then they'll feel like shit. Why were we supporting this guy? Why were we thinking that all his agendas? He's saying that one of the things that he said yesterday was that the matrix is constantly pushing false ideologies and toxic beliefs and things that are wrong. But everything that he was like, if I went through all the things that he said and just pick up on all the things that he's suggesting that are toxic, all the toxic ideologies that that he promotes, and then confront him about why he's promoting it, I wouldn't be wanting to just attack him. I would be wanting to attack his followers. And so having an interview where I attack him for his principles and his beliefs, and then then get him to be built up, put on a pedestal, get people to think that he's getting somewhere, that he's got a following, and he will actually have a following if people like him. Why people would like him, I don't know. That's not me. I'm not making people like him or anything. But yeah, if people are choosing his side, they're choosing his side for a reason, and I guess that reason is that they can't tell the difference between a toxic ideology and a good ideology that's sort of grounded in truth and reality. If you think women are less than a man, well, reality is that reincarnation is the truth. So women and men are technically the same when their souls get born and reincarnated. And therefore, if you want to start basing your ideology on lies, I can expose the lies. But it's like setting people up to fail. And this guy, I think, definitely wants to be set up to fail. Why? Because he wouldn't believe, he's so arrogant that he thinks that if he does get sent to jail, he wouldn't see that as a failure. He would just see that as proof that he's famous and that people are the government are attacking him because he's a worthy person. He's coming with so much truth and so many correct ideologies and the true message or whatever he needs to say, and the people are attacking him because of this, when really he doesn't have me on he doesn't have God on his side. But the thing is, I don't even know if I need to have an interview with him, because I could just watch this, pick up on all the toxic ideologies that he has, and I could just say that this isn't the truth. But I think with him I would want to be a bit more careful about what I say, because he's very good at talking, and I know that I sometimes get my words wrong, which makes me say things that I don't mean to say. It's just like, I've used the wrong word. Like, I often say men, sometimes I say man instead of woman, or woman instead of man. I often confuse these two words, and I think I know why I do it. It's because my higher self sees men and women actually, the soul, as being the same. So sometimes I make the mistake of doing that, or changing day into year, or I make mistakes in my speech. But
all of us, and they're trying to make us all slaves. And I have a massive influence, yes, so I'm a primary target. But they're not just coming for me, they're coming for absolutely everybody else. And I don't see why it would be prudent for...
This is how you get your army. You get your army by saying, they're not just attacking me, they're coming for everyone else. And then everyone else, or your army, is thinking, oh, they're going to come for me too. Well, I can't let this happen, People, if you start talking about tax evasion, a lot of people don't care, because I think there's a lot of people that'll be like, yeah, I don't really want to pay tax, and if I could get away with it, I will. And therefore, if you talk about that, there's probably a lot of people that are kind of thinking, well, I don't really want to do that. So it will anger the people that are paying tax, but it won't anger the people that all the builders that try and get away with it and stuff. I'm sure there's plenty of people. It's not just higher class people that don't want to pay tax. But yeah, when it comes to the R word, a lot of women have experienced that, and therefore if you start saying that, if you start insulting women because they're women, then and making it sexual, if you start accusing someone of sexual crimes, then all the women that have experienced sexual crimes get angry, and therefore this is the reason why there's a lot more anger in it. And I think even men would get angry at it, because a lot of men were women in their past life, and they too would have experienced things like this, hence why some men are far more understanding as to why it's wrong, and some are not.
For me to sit and say, oh, well, they might kill me if I continue to talk, so I'll just shut up, and then maybe they'll kill me later, along with everybody else. I think I'll feel happier in myself knowing that, no, I went down guns blazing. And I think it's pretty obvious now to anyone with a brain what their agenda is. Their agenda is mass surveillance, firstly, because that's how they make money nowadays, via surveillance.
This is how another tactic he uses to get fans. Anyone with a brain would see that they're just after control and turning people into slaves. Anyone with a brain, and therefore the stupid people that don't have brains would be like, I have a brain. Wow, yeah, I agree with you. Wow, you're really helping me so much. You're making me see the truth because I have a brain, and you're building up my confidence.
Capitalism and surveillance have gone hand in hand. That's the first thing. And second, by extension, is mass slavery. And I know that's coming. So am I afraid? It's kind of like, are you afraid of being struck by lightning if you go outside? What can you do about it? I guess
The majority of people are not struck by lightning if they go outside.
my option is I could take all my money and disappear and shut up. But the war is certain, and it's coming for us all anyway. And I've said this on other podcasts, but it's true. You either fight against this garbage they're trying to inject into everybody's minds, and you're at war against them, or you believe all the garbage they tell you, and you're at war against yourself. If you believe the crap they want you to believe, you're depressed, unhappy, sad, miserable, lonely. So what's the choices? You're going to fight something. I'd rather fight.
This is a really good way to get people to want to start war. Just tell them that if they don't start war, they're going to be depressed, miserable. They're just going to be living in the slave culture, believing everything that they're told. So yeah, by insulting people that don't want to go to war, he's a warlord. He's a warlord that is doing his gathering via words and building up support by just trying to. You can learn a lot of things from this, because I want to be a warlord and I want to encourage people, but I want people to fight for the right people. And it's annoying to think like if people like this had an accident, they would get free healthcare. They would get, they'd be treated like normal citizens. It's annoying when you see terrible people promoting terrible ideologies and confidently, arrogantly just going on about how we're living in some sort of slave state, and that the government are corrupt and all. He's turning people against the government, and he's doing it very proudly. And it's annoying to think that people like this are actually being listened to, and people are agreeing with them, because he's just creating more and more division. Slavery is bad, but there is good in bad, and that is always the message that I want to promote. I feel like a slave, but technically I'm just lying in a bed all day. So am I really a slave when I'm not actually doing that much work? I'm just saying all the things that I'm feeling and watching. I feel bad that I don't actually get to enjoy anything in life, and so I feel like a slave in that way. But at the same time, I like knowing that I'm fighting for the right cause, and saying things not because you're just trying to push an agenda, but saying things because you see that other people, like right now I am pushing an agenda. I'm pushing an agenda that people like him are evil. So I am pushing an agenda, but I acknowledge that I'm pushing an agenda, but but I'm pushing an agenda because people like him are evil, and he is part of the reason for division. He is building up a whole army of people that think that that turn on the government. And okay, I'm not saying that the government is perfect. I think sometimes they can be, get things wrong and do things wrong, but I think part of them getting things wrong is helping people that they shouldn't be helping, and that could include people like this who don't think that they are being helped. People are obviously helping him because he's getting a lot of fame and publicity, and he seems to think that he's the number one worst enemy, when I've only just heard of him a couple of weeks ago for the first time, and he's apparently been doing lots of he's got a bunch of cars that he wants to boast about. Where has he got his money from? People are obviously helping him, otherwise he wouldn't have any money. If people weren't helping him, he'd be lying in a bed doing nothing like what I'm doing. So for him to say that the state and the government aren't helping him is obviously bullshit. The state and the government are not helping me. Why? Because I've been spending the last 11 years lying on a bed just wondering why everyone's turning against me. So for him to think that the world is against him is nonsense, because he has so much more than what I have. I feel like I can explain why I feel the way that I feel. I feel like the whole world has turned against me and no one gives a shit about me. Why do I feel like this? Oh, because I'm lying on a bed doing nothing every day, and I don't have any money, and I live off £4,000 a year because I don't have a job, and I've never been given a job. But people who complain about things are people who've been given lots of things, and they just want to complain some more because they want to be some sort of hero. They want to build themselves up. They just want more. They just chase after more money, more followers, more pride, more ego. And the video is getting a bit long, so I'll just stop there.